I've always been a budget traveler. I don't mind skipping fancy hotels for quirky Airbnbs, especially if it means I get a whole place to myself. So when I found a cute little studio apartment in the heart of the city for half the price of anything else, I booked it without thinking twice. The host, Greg, had a profile picture of a smiling middle-aged guy and a bunch of positive reviews. Superhost, the badge said. I figured I was in good hands. The place looked exactly like the photos, clean, modern, with a little balcony overlooking the street. Greg met me at the door, handed me the keys, and gave me a quick tour. He was friendly, maybe a little too friendly, but I chalked it up to good hospitality. If you need anything, just text me, he said, and then he was gone. The first night was uneventful. I unpacked, ordered takeout, and watched TV until I fell asleep. But the next morning, I noticed something weird. There was a small black dot on the smoke detector above the bed. At first, I thought it was just a screw or a sensor, but the more I looked at it, the more it looked like a camera lens. I tried to brush it off, but the feeling of being watched wouldn't go away. I started looking around the apartment, checking every vent, every clock, every weirdly placed object. That's when I found another one, this time in the bathroom, hidden inside a wall outlet. My stomach dropped. I grabbed my phone and started Googling what hidden cameras look like. Every result matched what I was seeing. I felt sick, texted Greg, trying to keep my cool. Hey, is there a camera in the smoke detector? Just curious. He didn't reply. I packed my stuff in record time and left the apartment, heart pounding. I called Airbnb support from a coffee shop down the street and told them everything. They said they'd investigate, but I never heard back about what they found. Greg's listing disappeared a few days later. Now, whenever I stay anywhere new, I check every inch of the room before I unpack. I don't care if I look paranoid. I'd rather be safe than sorry. I'll never forget the feeling of being watched, even when I thought I was alone. Story 2. The secret room I was traveling for work, and my company booked me an Airbnb in a small town I'd never heard of. The house was old, with creaky floors and faded wallpaper, but it had charm. The host, an older woman named Mrs. Whitaker, lived in the main house and rented out the guest wing. She greeted me with a plate of cookies and a warm smile. If you need anything, just knock, she said. The first night I settled in and tried to get some sleep, but the house made all kinds of noises. Pipes groaning, floorboards creaking, wind rattling the windows. I told myself it was just an old house, being an old house. The next day, I worked from the little desk in my room. Around noon, I heard footsteps in the hallway. I opened the door expecting to see Mrs. Whitaker, but the hall was empty. I shrugged it off, but the footsteps kept coming back, always stopping right outside my door. That evening, I noticed something strange about the bookshelf in the corner. It looked like it had been moved recently. There were scuff marks on the floor, and the books were all stacked haphazardly. I tried to push it, and to my surprise, it slid aside, revealing a narrow doorway.
Oh.
My heart was pounding, but curiosity got the better of me. I squeezed through the gap and found myself in a tiny, windowless room. There was a single chair in the middle, facing a wall covered in old, yellowed photographs. Most of them were of children, some smiling, some looking scared. In the corner, there was a pile of dusty toys and a faded teddy bear. I backed out of the room, heart racing, put the bookshelf back and tried to act normal. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was very wrong. That night, I locked my door and barely slept. The next morning, I made an excuse about a work emergency and left as quickly as I could. I never reported what I found. Maybe I should have. But sometimes it's easier to pretend you didn't see anything at all. Now, whenever I see a bookshelf in a guest room, I wonder what might be hiding behind it. And I always check. Story 3. The host's secret: my girlfriend and I wanted a weekend getaway, somewhere quiet and off the grid. We found a cabin on Airbnb that looked perfect, secluded, surrounded by woods, with a big stone fireplace and a hot tub on the deck. The host, Eli, messaged us right after we booked. No cell service out here, but there's Wi-Fi. Let me know if you need anything. We arrived late Friday night. The cabin was even more beautiful than the photos, but there was something off about the way Eli greeted us. He was polite, but his eyes never quite met ours, and he seemed nervous, like he was hiding something. He showed us around, pointed out the firewood, and then left, saying he lived in a house down the road if we needed anything. We settled in, made dinner, and tried to relax. But as the night went on, we started noticing little things that didn't add up. There were muddy footprints on the porch that didn't match our shoes. The back door had a scratch mark near the lock, like someone had tried to force it open. Air. And every so often we'd hear noises outside, branches snapping, footsteps crunching in the leaves. We tried to laugh it off, telling ourselves it was just animals. But around midnight, the Wi-Fi went out. Then the power. The cabin was plunged into darkness. We lit some candles and tried to stay calm, but the noises outside got louder. At one point, we heard someone, or something, scratching at the windows. My girlfriend wanted to call for help, but with no cell service, we were completely cut off. Suddenly, there was a loud bang at the front door. We froze. The banging got louder, more frantic. Grabbed the fireplace poker and crept toward the door, heart pounding. "Who's there?" shouted no answer, just more banging. Then, just as suddenly as it started, the noise stopped. We waited in silence, barely breathing. After what felt like hours, the power flickered back on. The Wi-Fi returned. We spent the rest of the night huddled together, too scared to sleep. The next morning, we packed up and left as soon as the sun came up. As we drove past Eli's house, we saw him standing in the yard, watching us go. He didn't wave. He just stared, expressionless. A few days later, I got a message from Airbnb. "Hope you had a great stay. Please leave a review." I never replied. I don't know what was out there that night, or what Eli was so nervous about, but I do know I'll never go back. Now, whenever someone suggests a cabin in the woods, I make an excuse. Some secrets are better left alone. Do you ever find yourself in a strange Airbnb? Trust your instincts. Sometimes the scariest things are the ones you can't see, or the ones you almost miss.